Yeah, I think this is going to be a perfect area to do our first wildlife circle on this particular property. And by wildlife circle, what we're going to do is we're going to cut down about 10 or 15 trees just randomly through the woods. We're going to let them fall on top of one another just as they lay. That's going to open the canopy up, going to get some sunlight to the ground and allow a lot of new growth. We'll show you exactly how we're going to do it. You know, we're going to try not to cut any of our hardwoods down, but you can see here we've got a lot of just junk trees. There's locust or some poplar, a few box elder. So this is a perfect place to start this. And we're gonna have a lot of new growth. You're gonna see some greenbrier. You're gonna see different browses, some forbs pop up. But the cool thing is when you drop these trees, it protects the deer from over browsing that particular spot. It's hard for them to get in there to the center, and by the time these logs start to decay, then they can get in there and access the food. So it's just a great way to really increase the food source on your property. And we're going to do this randomly all over this hillside. Now, 6 or 7 years ago, this hillside looked nothing like this. It was really dense. There was a lot more cover, but as it gets a little more mature, you need to do this randomly. And this is not a good situation here to timber it because there's just not a lot of good quality lumber. This is a perfect place to do these wildlife circles. I really want to cut all those, but that's a walnut there. I don't want to cut that one down. So this little patch right here may be our best. Yeah, we'll just start right here. That we want that tree to fall. We're trying to place the tree exactly where we're trying to keep it out of these other trees so you can kind of guide it to the direction you need These wildlife circles are an important part of property management, especially if timbering isn't an option. Now what we're going to do by exposing this sunlight to the ground or exposing the ground to the sunlight, we're going to open up that seed bank. There's a lot of seeds that are naturally in this ground that have been here for years just waiting on sunlight. So we'll come back in a year and see what's growing up. There's going to be forbs, there's going to be briars, there's going to be blackberries. Perfect wildlife habitat, not just for whitetail. Another important thing that we can't stress enough is safety. Now you see I'm wearing a helmet with ear protection, eye protection, but it's also be cautious about hanging a tree up in another tree, especially if you're cutting a little larger diameter tree. Make sure you look at the area, drop those smaller ones first, and pay attention to where you're dropping that larger tree so it's not hanging up. This tree's leaning a little bit downhill, and that's not necessarily the way we want it to fall. We want it to fall over here to our left. So what we're going to do is put a big notch in it, take our time and cut it from the back. And when you see that tree start to break, get out of its way and make sure you're safe distance from the tree. Well, that's our last tree. We have a perfect little random clear-cut area, call them wildlife circles. Really anxious to see how this growth happens in this area. This is a new property. First time we've cut here, but really excited about the opportunities in the future. So our wildlife circle, or our little clear cut, is complete. We dropped about 10 or 15, maybe 20 trees. And you can see as these logs are piled on top of one another, it kind of protects some of this area from deer traffic. Now, depending on where you're cutting and the type of trees you're cutting, that will be a little larger and more protected. But it creates habitat immediately. Deer like to bed in treetops, especially bucks. It's going to have great sunlight reaching the floor. We're going to have a seed bank awakened. We're going to have a lot of new growth. We're going to have briars, blackberries. We're going to have forbs and all these new tree growth. So a lot of browse for the future. Excited about what we can see here.